You've probably heard me talking about this self-sufficient living skills bundle that's been going on. And I have been spending the last week flipping through so many of the incredible resources within this bundle. Now, I will say there's a lot. There's over 118 different ebooks and courses and lessons sharing incredible wisdom and knowledge with you so you can live off the land and you don't have to rely on this corrupt and broken system for everything for your family. Anyways, I wanted to share some of my favorite things. One, first off, is off-grid homeopathy. This course is loaded with so much incredible knowledge, talking about homeopathy for first aid, for colds and flu, how to make your own homeopathic remedies. Like, as an herbalist who loves to teach that stuff, that's pretty exciting to hear it in the homeopathy realm. There's also some incredible fermentation guides, so many other amazing herbal recipes and food recipes, and how to make your own sourdough bread, how to do your own organic gardening and canning of all of your foods. Really, there is so much. And yes, I know. I've talked about it a ton, but this entire bundle is only $50 right now until Sunday, March 24th. I'm sharing my herbal first aid skills, which is a course that's $47 on its own. I'm sharing recipes that I used when I got my products into REI for herbal first aid kits and so much more. You'll have to check it out. I'm serious. Like, you can absolutely change your life with this bundle. So there is a link in the show notes for you, and I hope you check it out. I hope you take advantage. Don't worry, you don't have to go through everything right away. You can access everything for up to a year. Once you're in the course or have the download, it's yours for life. It is a steal of a deal. Okay, self-sufficient living skills bundle in the links for you.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Herbalist Path. I am really excited about the guest we have today. Her name is Yolanda Joy. She is living in Italy and she runs the Herbal Entrepreneur, which is a pretty amazing space.
Hello and welcome to the Herbalist Path podcast. I'm your host, Mel Mutterspaugh. I'm a clinical herbalist, environmental educator, founder and formulator of an herbal products company called Mountain Mel's Essential Goods. And my most important role in life is being the mother of a beautiful young daughter. I also have this crazy passion for teaching people to use plants as medicine in a safe and effective way. Herbalism is the most sustainable way to take care of yourself, your family, the plants, and our precious planet. In this podcast, you'll get a mix of interviews with fellow herbalists, herb farmers, product makers, herbal educators, clinicians, and plain old plant geekin' herb nerds similar to myself. You'll also get some episodes where it's just me dishing you some great info on how you can safely use herbs for yourself and your family. It's an honor to have you here and joining in on a serious mission to inspire a movement where there's an herbalist in every home. Again.
Yolanda, would you like to tell everybody just a little bit more about you and your background?
Yeah, sure. My background is I was born and raised on a farm in Australia. So I lived in Australia up until I was around, in my 20s. I grew up in a tiny, tiny town, like population 60, and not even in that town, like outside of that town on a farm in the middle of nowhere. So it was a pretty nice place to grow up I was one of 5 kids and was pretty relaxed childhood. But then, I moved to the city to go to university, and I studied pharmacy, and definitely had that scientific background there. But when I was in university, I met my husband, who is actually from Italy, and so that was kind of the reasoning behind lifting everything up from Australia and moving to, well, actually we went to China when we first went away from Australia, but we went to China for 5 months and ended up in Italy at that point. And this is a pretty big background of me. It's maybe a little bit too long.
I love it.
Because
I love
it's not really about how I'm entrepreneur. But we were in Italy, and I've actually been in Italy for around 8 years now. And over this time, I basically couldn't practice as a pharmacist in Italy. And so I started to kind of experiment with different things and along the way. And it was through this time that I firstly started getting very interested in alternative methods of health. So one of the ways into this was around I started a blog when I moved to Italy because I couldn't work as a pharmacist, and so I thought I better kind of keep up my knowledge and have some sort of record that I still kind of know what I'm doing in case I ever wanted to go back and get a job as a pharmacist. And so I started writing a blog about how medicines work, and then grew a bit of an audience there. And it was interesting because a lot of the people were finding my blog because they were searching how medicines work, because they were actually scared about taking the medicines and didn't want to be taking the medicines. And so that kind of naturally led me towards this path of finding alternative things that they could be doing instead of using medicines, and through this following the rabbit hole. And then in addition to that, where I was in the world, it really opened me up to becoming more aware of the environment around me. And I really did feel quite called to the plants in the area that I lived, especially when I moved to a little town called Orsina, which is a tiny town, similar to where I grew up in Australia, except very different on a plants basis, and it's mountainous, and just the plants that were growing there were just so interesting to me and really intriguing to what I wanted to be doing. And it really just called me to get involved. So there was this elderberry, and there was yarrow, and there was St. John's wort, and there was all of these different plants that I hadn't come across before, and they were really interesting. And I was definitely called towards that. But at the same time, I was working online with my blog, and in that time I'd started to run events for other people, and that was when I basically learned how to run events very well, and I had this interest in herbalism, and I decided to combine the two. And that was when I created the Herbal Entrepreneur Conference for the first time in 2019. And nice. That is where the community of Herbal Entrepreneur came from.
That's awesome. What a fun story. I love that you come from a pharmacy background, because I've got quite a few friends that are pharmacists, and that the majority of them have turned to plants also. So I'm curious, in your pharmacy studies, did they talk about how so many of these drugs are derived from the constituents of plants?
Yes, definitely. They did mention that. So aspirin, for example,
right?
And those they did, and even morphine, and we did mention. I would say a lot of honestly, the vast majority of pharmaceuticals have origins or some sort of form of origin in the natural realm. Not all of them, but the vast majority. And in some parts, we did learn a little bit about natural things to a certain extent in pharmacy. I wasn't heaps sold on the whole way that pharmacists practice, and I was quite grateful for the opportunity to move in a different direction when I graduated. So it was yes and no. I enjoyed parts of what I studied, let's just say like that.
I'm sure it was fascinating. And I asked that question because one of the pharmacists I'm friends with is far retired now. And he talked about like when he was in pharmaceutical school, they did talk about the plant constituents and such. But now my younger pharmacist friends didn't have that piece of the education quite as much, which I just find to be really fascinating. And it's part of my mission and what I do in the world is helping people understand that these plants are really good medicine, so much so that they get turned into drugs. So that's fascinating. I love that you came from that kind of background and then got the great fortune of connecting with more plants and helping more people connect. So tell me a bit about the herbal entrepreneur and what it is. Or tell my people. Well, I know.
it's like my little passion project. Like I really did start it as a passion project. And like I said, I had this interest in herbalism alongside this skill set of knowing how to create virtual events and put them together. So I'd been running, and so basically I wanted to start an herbal business, and I didn't quite know exactly what I wanted to do yet. So I knew that I enjoyed working with plants. I knew that it was something that if it was possible for me to do as a job, like I would definitely be there. I would definitely be doing that. But I just didn't quite know exactly what I wanted to be doing. And so I thought that I could use my experience as this virtual event kind of organizer to create a conference around how to, or what the options are for creating a herbal business. And so basically what I did, I was just looking around at what other people are doing and things that I thought were cool, and then reached out to them and asked if I could interview them about what they're doing. And I was pretty surprised that basically everyone said yes, because I was just emailing like, it was similar to this kind of the Herbalist path, my typical email outreach to ask if people want to be involved with herbal entrepreneurs, like, would you like to share your herbal journey? And basically everyone's like, yeah, I want to share my herbal journey, because everyone who is an herbalist tends to like talking about herbs and then their journey into the realm of herbs.
We sure do, don't we?
Oh yeah, we could talk all day. Mm-hmm. But it was such a good opportunity for me, because I got to start to see different areas and different ways that people can pull together businesses and the things to think about, like creating products, the labels, the sales channels, the good manufacturing practices. Like I didn't even know good manufacturing practices existed at that point. And I started talking to people about it, learning about certified kitchens, about all of this stuff, and it all scared the heck out of me, but I was learning and working out what I wanted to do and what I didn't want to do. But it was all part of this journey of sharing the stories about herbalism. And so I say this because it started very much for myself, because I wanted to, I was the target audience. I wanted to start an herbal business, wasn't quite sure what I wanted to do. And so I started interviewing people to find out what they're doing and whether I would like to do it or not. Like it was very much for myself. But I put it out there as a conference. This is back in 2019. And this was while I had a separate job and also a sign-up home. So I was already full. But the conference went really well. We had like over 5,000 people attend the very first time. And it was way more than I could handle by myself. And so it was, and the reason was because I wasn't the only one interested in it. Like there were so many other herbalists that also wanted to start a business and also like wanted to explore the different options and work out what they wanted to do. And it was, I just definitely did create it for myself, but then it wasn't just me who wanted to watch the sessions. And so it grew. And because of that, it became very much a community of people. And since then it has grown, because and that's the way I talk about it now, or that's the way I see it, is when people ask me what I do, I'm like, I run a community of herbal business owners or herbalists who want to have a business. And that is what it is now. It's a community of herbalists. And the idea is we're sharing ideas and what we're doing to help each other, because often there are partnerships and we can work together to grow better things than what we could do on our own. So it's like around, if there is a person who just really likes making products and doing that part of the process and just focusing on putting the love into the products, and then there's someone else who enjoys selling them. There's someone else who wants to do workshops, but then the people who come to the workshops ask if they can make products, but if they can buy their products, but the teacher doesn't have their own products. If they partner with either the seller or the maker, like there's all these interconnections that can happen as a result of the community, and we can help each other because we all have our own little strengths. And yeah, that's how I view the whole entrepreneur community now.
That is really, really fun because it does take so many different directions, and there are so many ways you can go down your herbalist path, like the maker and the person who enjoys sales and the person who enjoys the workshops, and really working together, the farmer, the grower. Working together is so incredibly important, and that's where you are allowed to shine in your true passion zone instead of trying to do it all, which is magical in and of itself. I want to talk a little bit more about plants with you and a little less about business, because business, it's every day, but plants are even more amazing than business. So what herb really brought you into the herbal world in the beginning of your journey? Like, is there one that you could point out that really made you just listen, that shouted so loud, that said, hey, Yolanda, look at me? Is there one?
There's several, but I would say, yeah, the one that like I think of when you ask that question is definitely nettle. It's probably, I'm not sure if everyone has this love of nettle, but I definitely do. Even as a kid, like this was, when I was a child, I definitely didn't even know of the existence of herbalism really, but I definitely got my hands in the dirt and played with the plants and that sort of thing. And yeah, I can remember I used to like pretend that nettle was my pet and like I can pat it, because if you do it one way, you don't get stung. But if you'd like obviously touch it the wrong way, as most herbalists would know, you definitely get stung. But I used to pretend that nettles were my pets when I was a kid. But
that's so cute.
Even even more so, like that was one of the big ones that I experimented with more recently when I started, identifying myself as an herbalist. And so just going out and harvesting a whole heap of nettle, but also, I really enjoy making basically anything with dough, but in Italy, especially handmade pasta. And I often make it with nettle inside. And I sometimes use it in the dough to make like green pasta, or sometimes I make like ravioli with the nettle inside as well. But both ways. I love the nettle in the like the actual cooking and the way I cook the food. And then also as like, tincture, tea, whatever. Like it's just, I have a high affinity for nettle.
Hey, I wanted to take a quick pause to show some love and gratitude to our sponsors of the Herbalist Path podcast, who make this show possible for me and possible for you too. So here it goes. Medicinal mushrooms are all the rage these days, if you didn't know already. And with great reason, because they are powerful medicine that can improve your health and your life in so many different ways when they're well made. Yeah, it's true. There's a lot of stuff on the market that isn't going to be so effective. And that's why you need to find a brand that you can actually trust. For me, that brand is Wholesale Wellness, and this is the creation of a brilliant woman and fellow mama, Jamie Bonfiglio. She's an international mushroom educator that has been working in the medicinal mushroom industry for years. And this is when she saw firsthand how many other companies take shortcuts when it comes to their products. And Jamie wasn't having it. She set out to build her company the right way. Wholesale Wellness is here to raise the industry standards so those crap mushrooms on the market aren't getting into your body or your family's body. Whole Sun Wellness is the first company to test and report nutritional facts for all of their extracts. They go beyond industry standards every step of the way, from sourcing to extraction and final testing. And as the owners of the largest medicinal mushroom farm in the United States, Whole Sun Wellness is taking control of their supply chain for the highest quality and absolute full transparency. They're even the first company to include pure mycelium extract in every single product. So when you're thinking of getting medicinal mushrooms for you and your family, Whole Sun Wellness is exactly the ones you want. Also, be sure to check out their new mycolights. These are the world's first dissolvable electrolyte tablets. They're featuring functional mushroom extracts that'll give you more energy, more stamina, and recovery as well. And who couldn't use all of that? The other thing is, they are these adorable little mushroom-shaped tablets, and they come in like a little Altoids box, but way cooler than Altoids because they're mycolights. Anyways, head to wholesunwellness.com to grab yourself some mycolights and all of the other functional medicinal mushrooms that you and your family need. And of course, you can grab that link right here in the show notes now.
I love nettles too. They just make me so happy because they're one of the first herbs to pop up and show their beautiful selves. And I love the taste of nettles just fresh off the plant out in the field with them. Like when you grab it from the top of that leaf and you roll it up into a little pocket and then just bite it, like you can taste all that beautiful, luscious green nutrition from that plant. I think it's amazing. I love it.
Yeah.
It's such a good plant.
Because it is just such a nutritive plant. Like it's just, you can feel, and like that's, like the long infusion of nettle, like you leave it overnight and then you can feel it coming into you and like restoring that energy to your body. And that's the, I really like just the energy that it has.
Yeah, it's really beautiful. So I know that you have a son. Do you have only one child or do you have multiple children?
I have two. I've got, a son and a daughter. So my son is 4 years old and my daughter is a 1.5-year-old.
So much fun. What is life like as an herbalist mama and how do you incorporate herbs into their lives?
Oh, it makes it so much more fun.
Yeah.
It's just, I just love that I can share things with my children that like I didn't really know, that like they think of it as normal, that stuff that I just never really knew when I was their age, but it's just nice to see just things like, my son will be walking through the forest. We actually live in a like quite an isolated place in the middle of nowhere, and there's forest all around, but we're walking around and he knows what the names of the plants are. Like even as a 2 or 3 year old, he would still be like, some of his most important words were like the names of plants and just knowing which ones he can eat and which ones he can't eat. And then he would be the one teaching his grandparents like which ones you can eat and which ones you can't eat and things like that, as like a tiny little a little tiny boy. My daughter is not quite at that age yet, but it's just so wonderful to see that kind of resurgence of herbalism, because I do think in the last couple of generations there's been less focus on herbalism as like, being part of the home, being part of the family, being part of the everyday, so that everyone has that common knowledge, and bringing it into the way that we parent is kind of changing that dynamic and hopefully, changing the way the world sees it as well.
Yeah, I think it's so incredibly important. And I'm with you. Like my daughter is 8 now and she will teach people what plants are edible and what they do. And I remember her being about 3 at the park and one of her friends got an ouchie and she went right to a little piece of plantain for her friend. And right at that moment, I knew I was winning as a mom. Like if anything. That is the best. So I love that your little boy can do that. And I'm sure your daughter will very soon as well. So when it comes to like using plants as medicine as a mom, are there certain herbs that are really imperative for you in caring for your kiddos?
This question, I want to like cover a couple of things. First of all, like when I was breastfeeding, this is interesting though, especially for my son. I drank like my breastfeeding tea, which had like fennel and chamomile and lavender and melissa inside. It was a combination of those four, and it was just wonderful. But it was instrumental in the way, like in how calm my son was. So like if I'd been drinking it, he was just like great little baby. And then like sometimes he wouldn't be, and my husband would be like, have you taken your breastfeeding tea today? I'm like, no. Like, quick, hurry up with the breastfeeding tea. And then like it was just like honestly a huge difference, just because he did have not like a bit colicky type, I think it was like gastrointestinal discomfort, shall we say. And so it just really helped with calming and then putting him to sleep. And also chamomile when he was a bit older. I used to like sneak chamomile tea into his sippy cup, and then he would go straight off to sleep. But like, so for me, that was those ones have been really useful. But it has on the flip side of things, as the kids have been getting older, it's been interesting, a couple of discussions that I have with other family members in terms of when it gets to things that are like seem more serious, or like and being able to try herbal remedies. Sometimes, in particular, my husband is not quite as willing to try as I am, and then it makes me doubt my skills as an herbalist, which is really interesting from this perspective. So an example I'll give was on the first birthday of my daughter, my son like ran outside and tripped over the ground, or I don't even know what he tripped over. He tripped over something, and just like his chin went into the wooden bench where we were going to have lunch. And it was just like bleeding all over the place, and like he's still got a scar here now. And it was like just like a big kind of thing. Anyway, everyone in the whole family was like completely flipped out and was like, oh no, there's blood everywhere. And like, I'm not that calm a person, but I was definitely the most calm person that particular day. But they all freaked out. But it was interesting because I knew that like I wanted to try like my like remedies and things like that, but they're like, oh, quick, no, we've got to take him to the hospital, there's too much blood. And just like it was just and it was interesting how to like I knew what I wanted to do, but I didn't actually do it in that emergency situation because other people didn't trust me. And so it was just a really interesting experience, because I remember after that I was like, hang on, am I an herbalist? Like, what's going on here? Like, why didn't I do this that I wanted to do? And it was just an interesting series of events that happened like that. And it's just I'm working on this as well, in having the confidence to try things on my kids, or giving other people the trust to let me have the confidence to try things as well. So I just wanted to mention those two things. I have tried those sort of things, like when I was drinking breastfeeding tea and like chamomile tea, things that are simple were very easy for me. But when it came to an emergency situation, that probably would have been fine. Like he was actually fine. It was a little cut. There was just a lot of blood. I did kind of freak out a little bit.
I wanted to take a quick pause to show some love and gratitude to our sponsors of the Herbalist Path podcast, who make this show possible for me and possible for you too. So here it goes. I love this time of year. It's spring, the sun is shining, and all of our beautiful plant friends are popping up. It's amazing. Unless, of course, you're one of the millions of people who suffer from seasonal allergies. You know, the itchy, watery eyes, the sneezing and wheezing that's straight miserable. Thankfully, there are some amazing herbs that can help you with all of that. Just like the herbs inside of Kick-Ass Allergy from Wish Garden Herbs, one of my absolute favorite herbal companies out there. Kick-Ass Allergy, yes, I said ask without the K at the end. Anyways, this formula has yerba santa, nettles, echinacea for that immune support, and orange peels, all which come together to help dry up those excessive mucosal secretions. Yep, I'm talking about the sniffles and the stuffy nose, the watery eyes, and all that jazz. This blend also acts as a great expectorant and can help ease the swelling and inflammation in those mucosal tissues. It is a top go-to for seasonal allergies. And get this, they combine all those beautiful herbs with glycerin, so it actually tastes pretty darn good. Or should I say, it tastes kick-ass, without the K at the end. Anyways, if allergy season is miserable for you and you want a natural remedy that actually works for those itchy eyes and being all sneezy and wheezy, you have got to check out Wish Garden Herbs Kick-Ass Allergy. And for those of you with the little kiddos, no sweat, they've got a kick-it allergy too. And you pregnant mamas? You don't have to suffer either. They've got a kick-ass allergy formula just for you. So head over to wishgardenherbs.com or check out the link in the show notes and go grab yourself some kick-ass allergy so you can enjoy spring again.
Yeah, I think it's easy to freak out over blood. Honestly, like I have been in similar situations and I can understand where you would have that challenge. Somehow I think my family looks at me like, what do we do? And so they have that trust somehow. Silly people. No, I'm joking. They're not that silly. Yeah. So, there was probably Yarrow right by you and you could have handled the bleeding.
Exactly. That was exactly what there was. There was like, we had the table, there was yarrow all down. And I also had dried yarrow and I also had a yarrow tincture. Like I'm like, we need yarrow. And they're like, what is this? And they're like, but we do. And they're like, there's too much blood. That was exactly what was on my mind and exactly what, it was just an interesting situation.
So what do you think you would do in the future? Like if this kind of scenario happens again and you have people around you that love you, but don't necessarily, maybe it's not trust you, but trust the plants. How do you think you would do it differently after going through that experience? Just curious.
Yeah, good question.
Yeah.
Because I think that's a really good point that you mentioned, that it's often not about trusting you, but trusting the plants. Because that takes the pressure off of yourself and really makes it easier to go through with it. And because it's not about you, it's about the plants. And then they're the ones that are truly working the magic and weaving their way into the world and what you're doing. And that is what I think that shift mentally is what changed things. But yeah, they basically on a practical basis in that situation, I would clean the cut and then use yarrow is basically what I do.
Right. Yeah. I guess that's kind of an easy answer to that question. But some people might allow themselves back in that space of not trusting in themselves and their knowledge of the plants too. Or you learn and you're like, wait a second, I could have totally done something different and still utilize the hospital. But it's funny because recently in my shop, I have a paper cutter in the back and my partner was cutting paper and he cut his thumb really well and blood was gushing all over. And I have tons of yarrow and I used it and I would use comfrey later after we used the yarrow and got everything stopped from bleeding all over the place. And, some people were like, dude, you need to take that into the hospital. And his thumb is beautiful today. Like, he healed up so fast and so easy. And it just made he's turned more and more into an herbalist. I've been on the path for quite a while. And when we got together, he wasn't necessarily there, but he's like, okay, if that's what you're into. And now he'll go out and tell his kind of manly man buddies what plants to use. And I'm like, this is great, making an impact on all the manly mountain men that don't believe in this woo-woo hippie herb stuff. So it's a fun journey to watch.
Yeah, it absolutely is.
It's so fun. So I'm curious, do you, in your herbal journey, do you have any teachers that really, really resonate for you that helped you start discovering more of the plant world and feeling a little more confident in your ability to use them?
Mm-hmm. Yep. So I would say my most impactful teacher to date has been Maria Noel Groves. So I really enjoyed her book, Body into Balance. And this was, years ago that I read that first, and have also, attended classes and things of hers. And definitely her. But also last year, I actually was part of her advanced herbalism series. And so that's like a year-long kind of, herbalism course. And it was quite a big commitment on my part as far as she offered it as a live stream class, but it was and this is what I was thinking, this is my opportunity to study with her because I'm in Italy and she's in the US, but it was because of COVID that she did live stream. Before that, it had only been in person. And the only problem was that it was at from 6 to 9 p.m. Eastern time, which my time is from midnight until 3 a.m. And so I was like, but when I signed up, I'm like, I can do this. I can do my midnight herbal class. It's it's not every night. It's just, the every second week for 3 hours. I can do this. And I was also thinking that it would be more doable because of, I had a young baby. I was up in the night anyway, breastfeeding. Yeah,
I was like, you're breastfeeding.
Might as well do some classes while I'm at it.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it was more tricky than I anticipated. I didn't attend all the classes live, so I ended up having to watch the replays quite a bit. But it was a great experience anyway.
Nice.
And to answer your question, Maria Noel Groves has definitely been the most impactful for me, but definitely not the only person, because I have learned from just so many books in general. I love reading, and that has been the primary way that I've taught myself herbalism, I would say, through books. And then I've done courses, online courses, and also to a certain extent as well, people in person as well. So the town that I live in Italy, the people who lived there, I learned more about the identification and things like that of the plants and some of the traditional uses as well from the people who where I am.
Nice. Yeah, that's the beauty of it, is there's so many different directions and so many different ways that you can learn about herbalism. So teachers come from all different paths on that journey. And I love Maria's book as well. That reminds me that I should invite her on the podcast as well. She would be a lovely guest to have. Her book is brilliant. And I also am an herb book nerd. So I can't stop the collections of it, it seems. My partner always laughs at me when I'm like, I need this one too. And I need this one too. But it's a never-ending
same. It's like the ever-growing herbal library.
Absolutely. Which is funny because it is a question I get commonly, like, what book should I start with? And, it's like, well, it depends on what path you're most interested in at this point in time, because it's bound to change sometime, which is really fun. I think that's a really, really great part of it. So you get to connect with all of these herbal entrepreneurs and learn about their journeys and how they became herbal business owners. And you are an herbal business owner as you run this community, but does it ever inspire you to want to run some other type of herbal business as well? Like you're taking advanced herbal classes. Do you have visions of how your herbal path will transform down the road yet? That's
yeah, definitely. So in the past, I have actually done already some herbal workshops. So this was kind of pre-COVID. I actually ran an experience on Airbnb. And so this was my first taste of like teaching, and that was pretty fun. I enjoyed it. It was so like basically the way I ran it was we would meet nearby my house. My house is actually like off the grid as far as there's not a road that goes to my house. Mm-hmm. So I met them at the road closest to my house. And then we walked up to my house a like longer way, I guess, and look at it. So basically like doing a plant walk, but just with a small group of people. And then we would end up at my house where we would have a tea tasting session. So we did like simple, so we'd like taste herbs on their own and then talk about what we were feeling from the plants, like each one on their own. And then at the end, we were like combining them to make it like a tea to take home or whatever. That was what we did in this experience. And that was really, really fun, except it completely came to a halt when basically, I got pregnant with my daughter and COVID happened at the same time. So it was just like, fizzled out. But and it hasn't got started again. But going forward from here, like right at this moment, I'm pretty busy with Herbal Entrepreneur and 2 young kids. But as like because of the Herbal Entrepreneur community, I'm just like continuously inspired by what other people are doing and starting to get like a really clear picture of what works for me. And I have 2 different ideas of what I want to do, but I think the one that I'm most sold on for the moment is to run like an in-person herbal store that incorporates products and workshops, classes, that sort of thing, and making it more like a cafe type thing, where like a meeting place for the community with classes and products inside it, and like a hub. That's what I would like to create in the future. And so I've been in my head wanting to do this, but I've been planning to do that in 5 or 10 years from now. However, it's kind of possibly being sprung on us a little bit at the moment because my husband is taking on a bit of a venture starting this summer to take over the running of a mountain refuge. So this is in Trentino in the north of Italy. It's basically a hotel restaurant in the mountains. And he's going to be running that side of things. And we'll be living there as a family. And there is a bar already, in Italy, they say a bar, but I mean a cafe. And so coffee shop there is. And so there's definitely the opportunity to start to incorporate my ideas that I've been banking up over the years. And so I'm working on that now as to how I want to do that. And then also making some sort of classes there as well, because there'll be a space and it's also a really nice place to do classes. Like there's a nice big area and it's in the mountains in a great what do you call it? Like a great
environment.
I'm trying to think of the word of the ridge of them. It's at the top of the mountains anyway. So it's a really nice place. But so I'm excited about doing that. And then the other thing I want to do is also run events.
That sounds super fun. And to be able to run events in that beautiful mountain restaurant hotel space sounds pretty dreamy. And it sounds like those dreams are going to happen for you quicker than you expected. I think the universe really is fun in that way, where it says, oh, you're dreaming of that path. Here it is. That's so exciting. And I love the idea of a herbal bar, cafe, whatever you call it. I actually ran an herbal apothecary tea and smoothie shop where I wanted it to be there for the community. And we brought together food and plants as medicine and taught classes out of the space. So if you ever want to brainstorm ideas, I have lots and lots and lots. I'm sure you have plenty of other great people to brainstorm with, but something is so beautiful about bringing people and the plants together that feels amazing. So I can't wait to hear more about that journey. And I'll be like, babe, we're going to Italy. And he'll be like, oh my God, can we do it in ski? Because that's my partner's life is skiing. So he's like, as long as we go to the mountains, we'll be good. So that would be really, really fun. That sounds like a really exciting project. So I want to know a little bit more. You have something really exciting coming up with the Herbal entrepreneur community. Can you tell my listeners about what's coming up really soon?
I sure can. But yeah, so this month we've got the Herbal Entrepreneur Conference. And so this is a little bit what I was talking about before, but it's the 4th time that we've run the Herbal Entrepreneur Conference. And this is a virtual event, so you can attend from anywhere around the world. And it is an opportunity to hear from 30 incredible herbalists who are running businesses and getting an idea about how you can turn your passion for herbalism into a way to make a sustainable business. And so this event is, like I said at the beginning, I created it for myself or anyone else who is an herbalist that does want to follow this path. And it is incredible, the speakers that we have. I'm so excited to be sharing them this year because we've got 30 different speakers and we're covering all different topics around, so no matter kind of what your idea is, we've probably got something interesting for you, because it's like people who are making products, people who are growing herbs, like farmers, that sort of thing, selling or having a shop, that type of thing, doing teaching, and also like seeing clients in practice as well. So there's just like all these different tracks. And we've also got Mel is on this year as well, talking about her products business and different ways of selling the products and getting out there in wholesale and retail and the differences between the two and all that sort of thing. And it's I'm just excited about the event because we're expecting thousands of herbalists to join us, and it's an opportunity to connect as a community, the herbal community, and start to bounce ideas off of each other and create something great together. Like I know in previous years, people have told me they've started their business off the back of the conference, and that's what brings me joy, that like people are actually taking action because of what they learn at the conference. And that is what we're going to be doing. So it starts on March 20. It's actually a 7-day conference. There's like the intro session, and then we've got 5 days, and each of the 5 days there's 6 speakers, and like one after the other, with hearing from all different topics, so you can pick and choose and listen to what you want to, and it's free to attend as well. So you can attend and watch everything for free during the event, or there's an upgrade for if you want ongoing access as well. But it is, and also included in the upgrade, we have like a networking session for lunch. So this is like one of my favorite parts of last year's conference. So I'm pretty sure it's going to be good this year as well, as far as we have an hour of conversations between the different people who are attending the conference. And this is where you can share what you're doing with other people, and we have discussion points to talk about it as well. So I enjoy connecting with people, so that's why I like that part.
It's super fun. And I think I was involved in 2019 as an attendee. So I think I've been on your journey the whole time. You really targeted the herbal community quite well in that. So that's going to be really exciting. And you do have an incredible lineup. Every year you've had a great lineup. So fantastic opportunity.
I'm so excited that you were part of it. I'm So I love that you were there from 2019. I always love hearing from people who were at that one because it was so much smaller than what it is now. And so it's like, you've been here for like right from the beginning. It's and also just the fact that you've stuck it out that long as well. It means that you're serious about it and that you're like in it for the long haul, which is like, yes, we can be in it for the long haul together.
Heck yeah. Yeah. I've definitely been in the herbal world for much longer than that, but it's my passion, and we need more and more people with this kind of passion, and that can turn that passion into something that can also provide their livelihood and keep their families rolling really, really well. I think it's great.
Yeah.
There's a lot of curiosity about, oh gosh, I really love herbs. How do I make a business of it? Because there's a lot of schools where you can learn about how to be an herbalist, but there's not a lot that teach you about how to actually make money as an herbalist. So that's really important. It's so important. So I'm really grateful that you're doing that with so many thousands of herbalists. It's exciting. So
yes.
I want to know, if you were to give some of my listeners some tips, they are learning about herbalism, getting explored in the world. Some people are eager to make their own businesses. Some people are just learning how to use plants as medicine. What is the best tip that you would give the listeners on the herbalist path about their herbalist path? If you had one thing that you could say to them. I didn't ask that very clearly.
It's the tricky part is working out what the one thing is.
I know.
Because there are so many important pieces. Probably the most important thing, if you actually want to pursue it as a business, is to develop the mindset to value what you offer. And so this is what will actually make a difference in whether you can have a sustainable business or not, because we can all be herbalists, and like this show is, we should all be herbalists. The more there should be an herbalist in every household, and that's but if you want to pursue it as a business, then there really is a mindset shift, because you need to be able to, there's highs and lows, and it's all mindset in how you are, whether you're going to actually get through. And this just goes across the board. So pricing your products is such a hard thing for herbalists to do, because I think most of us want to give it away for free, and we want to just help people. That's kind of our purpose. That's what we want to be doing. And then we're realizing that we have to actually ask people for money if we have a sustainable business, and that's kind of tricky. But it's realizing that the mindset around that needs to shift for a business is the most important thing. And there are things that you can do to change your mindset, but one tip I would say would be to get into contact or start to hang around with people who have that mindset, so that you can see what they're doing and start to see that it's real. For myself, I've made a lot of mindset shifts over the course of my life, I guess. And just the most practical thing for me has been spending time with people who have the type of mindset that I want to have, and then just starting to see how they work and what makes them tick. And then I guess it just kind of rubs off on you a little bit. And so it's around the community and the mindset, that's what I would say.
Yeah, that's really important. I think who you hang out with, hopefully you hang out with people that are smarter than you, so to speak, maybe smarter in certain areas, smarter in the areas that you strive to be great in, is always a really, really good idea. And surrounding yourself with a community of people that inspire you is really important. And if you can do that with a community of fellow herbalists, then you're definitely winning. Because in my journey as an herbalist, if there's one thing that I have discovered, is herbal people are the best people. We're just really nice generally. I've seen a few that are not, but so be it. Go on your path, and I'll hang out with the really nice and wonderful, inspiring, caring people. And I think you really hit it there for those that may be interested in starting their own herbal business, that there is a mindset you have to go through. And it can be extremely challenging to recognize that it's okay to charge money for what you do, and to know your worth and to really value that. I think it's a big challenge in the herbal world because we tend to be very caring people, and we're passionate and kind, but you can't care for others if you can't care for yourself. So that's a big piece. So I like that. I like that piece of advice for sure. Cool. Is there anything else you would like to say? Where can my listeners find you?
Yeah, well, the best place to find me would really be my website. So it's just herbalentrepreneur.com. We're also on Facebook, on Instagram, on YouTube. Yeah, subscribe to us on YouTube. We're about to that's what after the conference we've got YouTube is going to be the focus. So if I had to recommend a social media, I would say go subscribe on YouTube. But definitely the website. But for now, if you're watching this in real time, definitely go to herbalentrepreneur.com. And that is where you can sign up for the conference and get your free ticket to the event, which starts on March 20. And so then, that's what I would recommend. Go to herbalentrepreneur.com and join us for the conference to see what it's all about. And just experiment.
Awesome. Yeah, I'll definitely have the conference linked in the show notes of this episode as well, and have you on YouTube. So hopefully I'll figure out how to tag you over there. That's exciting and fun. Awesome. Thank you, Yolanda. Anything else you want to say right before we cut this interview off?
I just want to say, I think it's wonderful what you're doing with this podcast, and just the relationships that you're building as well. I think it's great to be sharing the conversations, and it's also been really lovely just to talk about the plants for a while. From Herbal Entrepreneur, I'm always so focused on the business side of things, but it's nice to talk about the actual plants and bring it back to the conversations about this. So it's been really enjoyable conversation for me today, just to discuss this with you. So thank you so much. And I just think it is important to share these conversations and get it out to more people. So thanks for having me on today. It's been a true pleasure.
Yeah, you're so welcome. Thank you so much for coming, and thank you for letting me be a part of your conference. I can't wait to share it with more and more people and make herbalism spread like wildflowers.
Thank you so much for tuning into another episode of The Herbalist Path. Being on this journey with you is absolutely incredible. If you dig this episode, please leave me a review on your favorite podcast player and share it with your friends so that together we can make herbalism #spread like wildflowers. On another note, I must mention that while I know you're getting some good info here, it's important to remember that this podcast is purely for entertainment and educational purposes and is not intended to be a substitute for medical treatment. While the information in this podcast is absolutely relevant, herbs work differently for each person and each condition. That's why I recommend you work with a qualified practitioner, whether that be another herbalist, a naturopath, or your doctor. So thank you again. I am truly honored that you're tuning into these episodes and on the path with me to make sure that there's an herbalist in every home again. Don't forget to share this episode with your friends so that we can make herbalism #spread like wildflowers. It has been so much fun and so, joyous watching all of my medicinal plant friends popping up in my garden, from the Elecampane to the comfrey and the arnica. I love seeing these friends pop up. And if you are still trying to decide what to grow in your medicinal herb garden, you've got to grab my guide. It's all about the most essential herbs that every mom should know and should grow. So I teach you how to grow them and the many different ways that you can use them. If you want to grab the guide, go ahead. It's free, and I'm pretty sure you're going to get a lot of delight and use out of it. And there's a link to it in the show notes. I'm wishing you tons of happy medicine planting.